I thought the decision to draft Kenny Pickett, that conversation to me was probably like the most newsworthy if I'm going to put my reporter hat on, because I was amazed how forthright he was. That was one of the questions I had was, was there any debate, Pickett or anyone else, one of the quarterbacks? Because inevitably, Kenny Pickett will be compared to the other quarterbacks in his class. It happens every year. It happens with another quarterback on the Steelers roster, Mitch Trubisky, in the 2017 draft class with both Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. And to hear how forthright he was about, we were on the clock for 15 seconds after the 19th pick, and there really wasn't any debate. We knew Pickett was going to be the guy. Now, I was not surprised that they were also surprised Pickett was still on the board at number 20. Right. But again, Pickett is always going to be compared to whether it's Malik Willis or Desmond Ridder or Matt Corral, Sam Howell, whichever quarterback emerges as like the top dog in this quarterback. People will always reflect on that just because those are the quarterbacks in the 2022 draft class.
Yeah, 15 seconds ain't too long, depending on what you're doing. But Coach T, right? Coach T said, man, once he got to like 15, once Kenny Pickett would drop down to 15, like, boy, if he's sitting there at 20, we for sure gonna get him. And they wind up getting that guy. But the insight from Coach T was, we've been knowing this kid. We've been having up close in person his background. Like, we just been knowing this kid for a while. So we watched him grow. We watched him develop. It's just crazy, man. He's a high draft pick, and he's right next door to us. And guess what we need? We need a future quarterback. We need a franchise quarterback. So everything kind of fell in their lap at that particular time. So, they say timing is everything. And for Coach T and the Pittsburgh Steelers organization to have a guy that you watched since he was a freshman, and he progressed year in and year out, and you're able to tell the stories where he sits down with his safeties and try to nitpick on what they got going on, and he's watching from the second floor from the Panthers organization, watching the Steelers practice, and Coach T is able to talk to the head coach. Coach T is able to talk to the trainers. Coach T is able to give a thumbs up at Kenny Pickett. I don't know how the NCAA rules go, so I really can't say how they can really move. But at the same time, when you just have somebody who's really like homegrown, you know what I'm saying? And you asked about the hands part, because that was a question mark about Kenny Pickett and his hands, how small his hands is. Coach T was like, man, he been dropping dimes in this cold weather for the past 4.5, 5 years. What we talking about? So, he answered a lot of questions. But, Coach T gave us some good insight for that draft and why it wasn't any hesitation when it came down to drafting Kenny Pickett.
Speaking of Pickett, too, I thought it was really cool to provide credit to the two Pittsburgh Panthers safeties as well that Pickett had developed a relationship with, Paris Ford and then Damar Hamlin. Hamlin now a safety for the Bills, and then Paris Ford with the USFL Generals as well. So I thought that was pretty cool that he understood the relationship that Pickett has with his teammates, because there's so much more to quarterbacking than just saying, oh, the guy's got a cannon arm. It's almost like a pitcher in baseball where it's like, okay, he can throw 105 on the radar gun, but does he know how to pitch? Does he know how to mix up his pitches? Can he locate? Quarterbacking is the same thing. There's so many things that go into the position, but I thought it was interesting that he could observe the relationship that Pickett had with his college teammates that are on the other side of the ball as well.
That's who I'm going against. That was me. That was me and Byron Leftwich. I remember when we got Byron coming from Jacksonville, and he wound up coming to the Steelers. Like, I said, then I got a starting quarterback who's a backup quarterback for me. So, hey, Bleav, this is what I need you to do. I need you to throw all back shoulder fades. And you can ask Coach Tomlin this. And I was like, why? He was like, why? I said, man, I'm always over top. I'm not worrying about a deep ball, but if you got a quarterback and a receiver and they got a good relationship, they're going to back shoulder fade me all day. I just need to know how to play it in practice. So every time coach asks you to throw a deep ball my way, make sure it's a back shoulder fade. Coach T wind up asking us in the team meeting, Bleav, why you kept throwing IT these back shoulder fades? And Bleav was like, well, coach, Ike told me, like, they're not going to throw over him deep because he's always checking the best receiver. Mm-hmm. So if he's always over top, that's the next best option. That's what I would do if I would play. If I would go against Ike Taylor, would throw him a back shoulder fade because it's hard to defend. And Coach T was like, okay, this would make him a 9-year veteran. And he told this to the team. Like, when you're able to scout yourself and understand what you've been putting on tape, but you got to adjust because you think other teams will do this to you, this what makes a professional. But I thought it was just interesting. And Kenny go and talk to the defensive players because that's who he got to go against.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he got to be able to read cover 2, cover 3. And who's one of the first that's going to give you that sign? It's going to be the 2 safeties.
Mm-hmm.
You know, same with me. I had to go to my quarterbacks. I'm like, hey, QBs, I need y'all to help me because this is how I think the team is going to attack me. But that's just being a professional. That's way ahead of his time. And I did this in the league. Kenny was doing this in college. So that says a lot about Kenny and his thinking and his growth and his understanding about football.
And you understand the mental part of it, almost the chess portion of it, Ike, because at the NFL level, don't get me wrong, there are superior athletes compared to others, but that parity isn't as great as sometimes at the college level. So it's no surprise that Byron Leftwich goes on to become a very successful offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Soon to be head coach.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. 100%.